Welcome, my senior scholars, to Mr. Honeycutt's math class. I wanted to talk to you all about the Studying Math Diagnostic that you took and the results from that. So just about like what you knew about studying, what you didn't know about studying, this is actually I hope some good points and tips for college. So take this in, learn from this. So remember, the scenario was you're taking your first college math class this fall. The material mostly makes sense when the professor explains it, so you assume you understand it. And besides, you've seen most of it before. You take some notes, do a tiny bit of homework. Your quiz grades weren't good, but you think things are going okay. Then you take your first college math test in the first week of October. You studied by looking over your notes, and you feel proud of yourself for studying. But then you get the test back and you failed, and it wasn't close. And you are now past the easy drop date. Usually there's some sort of penalty for this. Now what? And hey, I put this scenario not as like a bad prophecy or something. Is that honestly, almost every single person who's been to college will have this experience at some point. I had this experience actually in my multivariable calculus class. So I'm not like trying to shame you or anything like that. But yeah, I just like, you need to know what to do, because what scares me, I think, is that students, I've seen Uplift alums kind of get to this point and then not know what to do, and not know that they think sometimes at that point it's like, well, I'm not, then they literally drop out of college at this point. And that's actually not, nope, that's not the solution. No. All right. So here's what impressed me about the diagnostics. Almost all of you understood that the BAS quiz grades were the early warning sign that you should have paid attention to, all right? And in fact, in my own experience, when I took multivariable, my first semester at Texas A&M, I had some bad quiz grades, and I did not pay attention to them because I'd been doing well in the class before. This for me happened actually on my second exam. But yeah, I had some bad quiz grades, and I was like, I'll be fine for the exam, and I was not fine for the exam, okay? So yes, so you are already smarter than I was as a junior in college, for those of you who understand that the bad quiz grades are an early warning sign that you should pay attention to. So hey, that's pretty good, all right? So that actually like really impressed me and really encouraged me. So at the very least, like, let me just say, like, hey, if you fail a quiz, especially at the beginning of the semester, but even in the middle, like I did, because I failed 2 in a row, and that should have been, especially, yeah, if you fail 2 in a row, like, danger, okay? That's a sign, and the sign says get help, okay? The sign says things are not going well. And in fact, that is the kind of feedback that you need. And remember, nobody's going to call your parents. Nobody's going to like jump up and down and scream at you and say, oh my God, you're going to fail this class if you don't do that. Like they're going to expect you to see like, oh, you got 2 failing quiz grades, or you got a failing quiz grade. Like that means that you need to get some help. Okay. However, I also want to say is that sometimes students at this point, they can fail like a quiz or a test, like at the beginning of college. And then they think that they're not cut out for college, or they're not cut out for the class or anything like that. And they go back into old habits and old patterns like from high school. But here's the deal. You can do it. You just need help. Here's part of why you can do it. If you're in a class, don't assume that you are like too dumb and are unable to pass the class. Because this is one of the big differences between college and the American public education system, okay? Remember, college ain't the American public education system. Colleges, in general, will not allow you to even sign up for a math class or any class that's years above your level, okay? That's what prerequisites were for. And you have to like demonstrate mastery of the prerequisite material to even get in the class. Like you literally cannot register for it most of the time, okay? And if you do, you'll get in trouble if something happens. Like, yeah, they generally have systems to make sure that doesn't actually happen, okay? Because everyone has learned at the college level, like, hey, if a kid doesn't know the previous material, hasn't mastered the previous material, there's no point in teaching them the stuff that depends on that, okay? Because it's going to be impossible. Like, those students work harder, the professors work harder, and the whole system works harder, and why? Like, so the American university system has pretty much figured out their prerequisites are a thing, that you have to crawl before you can walk. Okay, one of the first things we learn about learning. Now, the American public education system, which you've experienced for the past 13 years, has not learned that yet. I don't know why, but like it just is what it is, okay? So, but yeah, what that means though is in college, if they put you in a class, you need to assume that it's possible for you okay? Because if it were impossible, the college wouldn't let you take it. Okay, so if you're in the class, you can pass it. You're just going to have to make some changes and work maybe a little harder and probably most importantly, work differently than you've been working. Okay, that's what the quiz means. You need to probably work a little harder and you need to work differently. The second thing that impressed me, all right, and then look at all these smiley faces, okay? Most of you could name a bunch of resources to go to for help. Oh, that made me happy. It really, really made me happy. Sometimes it seems like you guys don't know like the kinds of resources and places you can go to for help and such. And yeah, and honestly, like college is going to be scary, and like going and finding those is going to be a little bit scary too. But like but the fact that you know, some kids, it seemed like don't even know that they're there. And so I just want to say, like, I was really encouraged that you guys were able to, all of you, brainstorm like pretty good ideas of like where you could go for help. So I was like really happy about that. And not just the internet, like you're like, oh, I can do this. And yeah, like very encouraged, very, very encouraged that you, at least if you get a bad quiz grade or something like that, that you can be proactive, start seeking out that help, and you know at least where to start looking. All right. All right. But one thing I do want to explain and reiterate is one of the hardest parts about college is that the assumptions that students and teachers make in high school versus the assumptions that students and teachers make in college are very, very different. And I think that is probably more of the more difficult shift. It's not just the material, it's the assumptions. There's like this, the culture is different enough that you're going through a cultural shift. And that's like, all of a sudden it's like, wait, the way we did this in high school, all of a sudden it ain't like that anymore. So in high school, well, when it comes to this sort of do you need help question, high school is going to assume that you're a dumb kid who doesn't know when to ask for help. So we ask you, do you need help? Okay, we ask you that all the time. We try to make that help the help can often find you in high school. Okay, not always. Okay, but I can tell sometimes that you guys kind of, you get stuck, you don't ask a question. Or like we see that in class, like sometimes like you get stuck and the expectation is that I'm going, as your teacher, would find out that you are stuck, ask you a question to help you get unstuck. That I'm the one who's in that process and you are just sort of passively receiving. And yes, that is kind of frustrating for me as a teacher, but it's also like what we in the education system have basically trained you to do, okay? The problem is college is going to have very different expectations. Very, very different. They're not going to assume that you're a dumb kid. They are going to assume you're an adult because legally you are. All right? And for the most part, it's a tiny bit insulting to ask another adult who looks like they're doing okay. Unless another adult like looks like they're really, really struggling with something, generally you don't ask them, hey, do you need help with this? So if you just sit back in class with a poker face, like a college professor is just going to assume that everything's fine unless they know otherwise. Okay? So they're going to assume that you're an adult. Like the help is not going to come to you. That's like, and here's what's also very strange that I think I get like why you're going to expect that college is just more of the same, and it's just not. Sometimes kids say it is, but I don't think those kids really understood college actually. So there's sort of a paradox here, I think, for the amount of help. In high school, as I said, the help often finds you, but in college, you have to go ask. You have to be proactive. You have to go find that help. Okay? They're going to expect you to because you're an adult. All right? But here's what's strange. Even though in high school, the help often finds you, in all honesty, there's not that much help available. There's not that much time because, we take up like 8 hours of your day. There's maybe after school tutoring. And yes. However, in college, this is what's really strange. Even though you have to go find the help, there is actually so much possible help out there. So much more help in college out there for you than there is in high school. Okay? So for instance, like when you're learning calculus, at Uplift Williams, there's like, 3-4 people in the building that could tutor that if you're stuck, myself included. But in college, there's going to be tons and tons and tons of people who can tutor you in calculus. Like, just on a pure numbers game. Like, that's kind of the difference. And there are like, oftentimes there's like a math tutoring center or like a writing center. There are groups that do tutoring that put study groups together. There are dorms, there are fraternities, there are upperclassmen. And honestly, like upperclassmen like helping lowerclassmen. Upperclassmen, I mean like juniors and seniors, lowerclassmen and freshmen, sophomores in college. They often like kind of helping freshmen and sophomores with their homework because it's so much easier than the stuff they're doing right then. And they're like, remember the days when I used to struggle this? Just look at this baby little calculus problem here. This isn't adorable. Yeah, let me show this little freshman and I'll feel smart because my current homework is kicking my butt over and over. All right. So actually, like, people like helping each other, and there's often lots of help out there. There's office hours. There's all kinds of resources, way more resources than there are in high school. The difference is, and look, I tried to be there for you guys like every day afternoon. I know some of you had like jobs and stuff, and but there's only so many hours in the day that I have. However, there's like lots and lots of people that can help in college. So what's really strange, and I want you to know this, is in high school, it can feel like there's more help than there actually is because the help is finding you, sometimes just in time, sometimes not. But even though there's not that, it can feel like there's more help than there actually is. What's strange about college is you're going to get there and you're going to be like, man, nobody's helping me because nobody's asking you if you need help. Nobody's offering you if you need help. But because they're all assuming that you as an adult are going to ask for help. All right. So what's weird is that college might feel like there's less help than there actually is. All right. So I want you to kind of just notice that distinction that there's, in high school, it'll feel like there's more help than there actually is. But in college, there's going to feel like there's less help than there actually is. So when you hit that point where you feel like maybe, October, like, man, nobody's helping me, like, A, that's normal. B, it's not actually true. It's just the change in the environment from high school to college. The help is there. The help is there. You just have to go find it. Please do go find it. All right. So other sources also, most of you guys had pretty good ideas, but I do want to point out a couple different ones. One, some of you, quite a few of you are saying things about like making your own practice tests. One of the nice things about college is many organizations will have previous tests. Okay. So when I was in the Aggie band, we had file cabinets in a room that had like old copies of exams, and you could go like look at them. And it wasn't because they would make a fresh one, each semester because they knew students did that. So it wasn't. And in fact, sometimes nowadays, actually, I think a lot of departments, especially for lower level classes, are putting old exams online. So to give you like an idea of like what you need to be studying for and et cetera. Like fraternities and sororities have that. Any big organizations, your dorm might have that. Now that was old school file cabinet. It might be a hard drive nowadays. I have no idea, but usually you can, if you ask around enough, you can get a hold of previous exams. You don't have to make them or anything like that. So like that can be generally, that'll just save you a step. So the time and investment is going to be more finding the test, or you can honestly, sometimes you can even ask like upperclassmen, like, hey, do you have this test? Did you take this class? That kind of stuff. And I have had students in the previous years bring me old tests just because sometimes kids don't believe college tests are going to be really hard, and be like, well, here's what a Calculus 1 exam looks like at a Tier 1 university, so. The other thing I want to point out is usually there, for you guys in particular, there's usually going to be a club or a group called something like the Hispanic Student Alliance, or it'll have a name, something like that, okay? And oftentimes those clubs will have tutors that are paid for by the club that you don't have to pay for. I know that so just be aware of that. Like that can be a really good resource. And again, honestly, I think as well, you're not going to know who to ask to find help. So if you get really stuck in a class, I would literally ask everyone because, and it's going to be like the person you don't think would have anything to tell you. So for instance, most of you probably, would you know that the Hispanic Student Alliance would have an incredible tutoring program? Maybe not. I didn't, but I've heard that has been a lifesaver for people. So Yeah. And then, yeah, also some of you like joked like, haha, I can ask Honeycutt. Yeah. And it's like, yes, you can. Like, please do. I mean, I'm going to give you guys my SMU email address as soon as I've got it up and going, but yeah, please email me. Please do. Like, especially like if it's the difference between you, dropping out or staying in school, like, oh my gosh, like please email me. And I honestly, I actually really enjoy it because, well, at least the past I've had, because I think it helps me keep pace and keep my focus on preparing you for college by hearing from my alums, like what actually was in college. And I mean, yeah, I love you guys. I love hearing from you. And if it's just like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this problem, like that's fine too. I will try to email you back. You know, I know sometimes it's like in the moment, like try to give me at least a day. Yeah, I've really enjoyed helping with that in the past, especially towards the beginning of the school. So if it's like the first month or two, like I try to kind of pay a little extra special attention to my alums emailing me out of the blue, for that kind of stuff. I'll let you, I mean, I'll be as helpful as I can, but I am also going to try to point you to resources, at the college itself. I will also let you know that sometimes, like, you know, like my multivariable is pretty rusty, and you know, like I've had students come back after a semester or two and like their math is now above me, and like, you know, let that be a cool feeling too, that you've actually surpassed your math teacher. So, but yeah, there will come a point, believe it or not, for some of you, you will be more up on your math skills than Honeycutt is. So you will surpass me. And in fact, I take that as a sign that I was a good teacher, if my students can be better than me. So, yes, but so those are some other sources that most students generally don't know about. So ask around for previous exams. Check out whatever, it'll have something like a Hispanic student, some name like that. You'll find it. Okay. And then, yeah, you can ask me. All right. Now, here was like now where you guys actually need some help on the diagnostic. The single biggest issue I saw, and I saw it over and over and over again, okay, on the diagnostic. But first, pop quiz. You're taking a college math class because of your busy schedule, you only have time to do one of the following two things. Number one, you can go to class, take excellent notes, ask deep questions when you don't understand something, or you can do your homework. Which one is going to help you the most? Going to class, taking notes, asking deep questions when you don't understand, or doing the homework? Which one's going to help you the most? So the answer, I'm going to pause for a little bit. Which one do you think it actually is? Do. All right. It's do your homework, even if it isn't for a grade. Okay, which is weird because in college class, homework is optional. This is something, but even though it's optional, even if they don't take it for a grade, that's probably the single most important thing you need to do in a college math class. Now, different classes are going to have different things, but yeah, if you literally have to make the choice between going to class, taking notes, and asking deep questions, or doing your homework, I would say do your homework. That's going to get you the most bang for your buck. Okay? And I want to make that super clear. And so for each topic, and then the question is, since the homework is optional, then the question is, well, how much homework should I do? Basically, you should do practice problems until you get the right answer the first time on the medium hard kind of questions. The really hard questions, okay? But on the mediums especially, you should be able to get the right answer the hard time, and on some of the hard ones, okay? Like, and you need to do practice problems until you can do that. So not until you get on the second time, on the first time, all right? Without help, all right? Like, you need to, yeah. Because that's what you're going to be expecting to do on the test, all right? Duh. All right, so here's like one of the main differences, I think, again, between, I want to contrast high school math and college math, okay? In high school math, oftentimes we viewed the class time, as the main meal, okay? And then you guys seem to view homework as the weird mint that some restaurants give you after the meal that sometimes people eat and sometimes people throw away. You know, you've been to restaurants like that. You know, there's the main nice big meal, and then they give you that weird little mint afterwards. And you're like, what is this? It's like chalky, or I don't even know. You know, probably white restaurants, you know. All right, so in college mathematics, though, the class, the taking the notes, the lectures are actually more like just the appetizer. It's like maybe the chips and the salsa, okay? You don't want to fill up on chips and salsa. It'll fool you into thinking that you're full, and then you don't get the nice big meal, okay? In college math, the homework is actually the main meal. It's where the learning actually happens. Now, it was like that for my class as well. Perhaps that is why you struggled in my class. I tried to be clear on this, but I think there's like a cultural shift as well, like that in like high school math like doesn't really have that culture, but college math will have that culture. And so I think it's a little easier for students to pick up like, oh my God, people are actually doing their math homework. Wow, and because that's weird. Maybe I should do some too. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I just wanted like that's a shift. Okay, that the main meal is not in class. The main meal is the homework. That's where the learning happens, and that's what they're going to be expecting you to be doing. Okay, so the class and the notes and all that stuff is just an appetizer. Okay, it's just the chips and salsa. All right, so, and yes, I do know that actual like Mexican food does not actually offer chips and salsa. Okay, like in Mexico. Okay, like I know that's like an American thing. The white people came up with that. All right, so what I just want to point out is so that like this is the meat. This is all of these other things that going to class, taking good notes, making note cards, which are good and helpful for you, going to study groups, going to office hours, talking to a TA, getting a tutor, like all these things, all of these are actually supporting you doing homework problems. But the main thing in a college math class is doing the practice problems. Okay? Now, not every college class is going to be like that. Okay? And you'll need to figure out what each one has sort of different things that you need to focus on, but in a college math class, it's going to be doing the homework. Okay, that's where the meat of it is. And all the rest of it is just to get you there. Okay, it's just to support it. This is the table. These are like the legs, I guess, because it's got 5 legs on a table. A 5-legged table. So I just want to make notice that's a shift. So like be prepared for it. Try to start getting your mind thinking in that direction. It's going to might even feel wrong to you at first. Like, man, why aren't we doing problems in class? Like, why aren't we? Yeah. You're going to miss me. Believe it or not. You're going to get a college math class and you're going to be like, oh my God. Wow. And it's not that I'm actually that good of a teacher. It's that your college math professors are actually going to be that bad. That's what it is. It's not that I'm that good of a teacher. I'm okay. But, oh, just you wait, kids. Whew. All right. But yeah. So notice like this whole video has been about, for the most part, these sort of, be careful. Be careful about these sort of unspoken assumptions in high school versus the unspoken assumptions in college. All right. And those are not going to be the same. They are not equal to each other. The unspoken assumptions in high school and the unspoken assumptions in college are not going to be the same. Okay. So like just to go over these again, in high school, class is the work. All right. Going to class, that's the work. Really, in college math, homework is the work. That's the work. That's what you're doing. Okay. Also be careful from this attitude of, they're just going to pass me. Okay. Like, well, what are they going to do? Remember, again, because college is not going to make sure, college will make sure, that you are in a class that you are ready to succeed in. They will actually expect you to succeed in some way, shape, or form. You are going to have to demonstrate mastery in some way, shape, or form to pass. Okay? So don't just assume that if you show up and show effort, like that you're going to pass. You actually have to be able to do what they expect you to do because classes afterwards are going to depend on it. Now, I will admit, if there is a class afterwards that does not depend on it, if you're in what's called a terminal class, it's the last class in a line of sequence, they're a little bit nicer on those. But you have to get there, okay? The other thing, assumption, help will come to me when I'm struggling. Teachers are going to ask. People are going to ask how I'm doing and stuff. Notice we've tried to wean you off that some senior year, okay? But in college, the assumption is you're going to have to find help. You're going to have to ask around. The other assumption I just want you to be, because I saw a few students say things about like, which seem to imply that you're forgetting that you're not going to be able to retake quizzes. You're not going to be able to retake tests. You're not going to be able to turn in late work. No, like it's just, I mean, look, every once in a while, yes. Okay. But like, I don't know. It'll happen like once or twice in college, but like the standard thing, like they're just not going to take it. So you need to kind of prepare yourself for that reality. All right. And that's the assumption. Everyone's going to know that, but no one's going to say it. Okay. So I'm trying to say it. I'm trying to help you be in the know about this stuff. So what does that mean? So who is responsible for student learning? Well, in high school, all right, in the public school education, that's often been the teacher. Okay? When students aren't learning, they're asking us, before they even look at the students, administration is going to be making sure the teacher must be doing everything right before admin even wonders about what the students are doing. And that's sadly kind of true, even in a college prep school. All right. In college, though, that's not how it works at all. And in fact, it's more like the student must be doing everything right before the admin wonders what the professor is doing. So like if your professor is genuinely bad, you are going to need to talk to admin about that, the college admin about that. You're going to need to show like, hey, I'm going to every class. Here's my notes. Here's the homework I've been doing. And like, I've been going to tutoring. I've been going to office hours. I've been doing all this stuff and I'm still failing. They're going to need that kind of evidence before they even start to question the professor. Okay. And wonder what the professor's up to. Yeah. I'm just letting you know, like, and you guys aren't used to that. And that's the shift. And I want to warn you about that shift. Okay. But I've been trying to prepare you for that for the past 2 years, because who is your teacher? Yeah. You are your teacher. I've actually been trying to prepare you for this mindset shift that you're going to need to make in college. All right. I really, really have. So being brave, fixing mistakes, okay, playing fair. All right. Who is your teacher? I'm my teacher. How do you teach yourself? You ask questions. What is life? Life is a word problem. Who are you? You are a problem solver. All right. So be a problem solver in college. Ask questions when you get stuck, when you do bad on a quiz. Go find help. Okay. Make that shift to the mindset. What's crazy though, the students who do make the shift, like, oh my gosh, they take off like little rockets of learning, and it's wonderful to watch. And I hope that, and I want that for all of you, for you to take ownership of your learning, to be your own teacher. You are your teacher. I am my teacher. And once you take that ownership, like, college you're going to do well. It'll be a struggle some days, okay? But the struggle means you're learning. The struggle means you're growing. So I love you guys. I'm proud of you. I miss you. Yeah. So who is your teacher? I am my teacher.